Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 21 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Angel Gordon. Angel, thank you so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we think you're awesome. So thanks again, and if you guys want to be house guest of the day like Angel, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. All right, it is the first official eviction of the season. Woo! But first, #but first. When we left off yesterday, Jackson was getting really annoyed by Kat's constant need for reassurance and her clinginess, and he was talking about voting her out. That's how annoyed he was. But then, it didn't take long for Jack to get him back on track to evict Ovi. So if you want to hear more on all that, make sure you check out yesterday's spoiler before you continue with this one, because it was pretty crazy. But after all of that nonsense, can you believe that Jackson and Kat were scoping out the HOH bathroom to see if they could smash in there? Oh my god. This cast is so messy, and I don't mean with like cleanliness, I mean with personality. It's a lot. It's a very messy cast. But they decided there were too many cameras up there, so they weren't going to risk it. Okay. So anyway, Kat was also trying to campaign yesterday, sort of. So she was making the rounds. She was checking in with all of her usual suspects, plus Nick, Cliff, even Nicole, who she doesn't usually talk to. So this was pretty interesting. But she's really not offering up anything for people's votes. She's just like, where's your head at? What are you thinking? What have you heard? So Nicole's like, well, from what I've heard, the house consensus is that Ovi's going. So like, you don't even need to campaign to me. I'm going with the house. It's all good. So everyone's basically just telling her, don't freak out. We promise to keep you in the loop. You know, whatever. So then, Kemi and Nick had an interesting game chat. He and Bella both seem to really be playing the middle at this point. It's hard to tell who they're actually with and who they would like to go next. I mean, look at Nick. He's telling Jack and Jackson and that whole crew that he wants Kemi out. And then he's telling Kemi that he wants Jack out. And I think he would be fine either way. It just depends on who is going to be in power next. So Nick tells Kemi again, if it comes down to the two of them in the HOH competition, he's throwing it to her because he would love to see her take out Jack. They both say that they feel like Jack would put them up on the block if he wins HOH. And Nick says if he won, he'd be scared to put Jack up because he's not sure if the votes would be there to get rid of him, and he doesn't want Jack to come after him if he is unsuccessful. So Kemi says, okay, well, I would definitely put him up on the block. So Nick's like, oh yeah, like a back door, right? And she's like, no, I would nominate him right out of the gate. She's not worried about him winning the power veto. And she also says, like, he hasn't won anything yet, but like, it's week 1. He hasn't really had much of a chance to win anything, right? And she says that a strong guy has never won Big Brother before. Okay, I really admire Kemi's fearlessness, and I think that's great. But at the same time, one of the reasons that those strong guys don't really win the whole thing is because people are strategic in how they get rid of them and they backdoor them. Like, you can't give those guys the chance to take themselves off the block with the veto. Because, yeah, I mean, it's possible that they won't win the veto, but, like, there's definitely a higher chance that they will survive the week if you give them the chance to play in the POV. So, it's something to think about. But Nick's like, all right, well, if you put him up on the block, I will definitely vote him out. So then, Tommy and Jack were game chatting up in the treehouse, and Jack is a little bit worried that he's kind of screwed up with Christy this past week, because they started out super close, and then over the last week, I mean, things really fell apart because she felt like she couldn't trust him anymore. So Tommy is telling Jack, I'm guessing she started distancing herself from you when she got wind that you were creating other alliances. And I think that's true, but also Christy didn't want to be tied to him as a possible showmance. So she was trying to keep her distance from him. So Tommy's saying he really wants to rebuild the 8 and stick with that. He really thinks that it could work and be something good for them. So Jack is like, yeah, let's do it. They both agree that Kemi should go next because she is a threat to the Alliance. She wants to go after Jack. They think she wants to go after Jackson, but she keeps telling everyone no. I actually really like Mickey. So they feel pretty good about where they're at right now. They have the numbers, they think, and every day. And they feel like she's probably not going to win HOH. I don't understand why somebody has to call every single day when I'm trying to shoot this video. But anyway, so Jack is saying, you know what, I don't even know that I want to win the next HOH as long as Kemi doesn't win. Because he feels like a lot of people are going after her. He doesn't have to be the one to take her out. He doesn't want to get blood on his hands if he doesn't have to. He does realize that, like, other people are targeting him besides Kemi, right? So he should probably go for that HOH. But anyway, let's talk about Ovi. Ovi is continuing to make the rounds. He's touching base with Nicole. And Nicole says everyone is still saying that they're going to go with the house. Everybody's being really vague with Ovi. Or being like, yeah, I got you, whatever. But they're lying. They're planning on voting him out. So Ovi says he's just trying to keep his cool at this point because everyone is telling him that he's fine. He's painfully unaware that he does not have the votes. So he's saying that he's got 6 votes for a fact. And Christy said that she'd break a tie in his favor this week. Because it's 7 votes to stay for sure. And 6 votes for a tie, and then Christy would be voting. So he feels confident that he has Nicole, Cliff, Tommy, Jack, Sis, Sam, and Holly. So that's 7 votes. He feels like he's got it. And Nicole's like, are you sure you have Jack, Sis, and Holly? And Obi says, oh yeah, I definitely have Jack. Because not only is he voting for me, but he's also campaigning to other people for me. Yeah, for you to go. Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. Jack is not campaigning for Obi to stay. So Obi's hoping that he can solidify these votes by the end of the night so that in the morning he can work on talk blocking Kat and making sure she doesn't flip any of those votes back before the eviction. And you can tell during this conversation, Nicole is like dying inside because she knows it's not looking good for Obi. But she doesn't want to say anything too soon and for her to, like, get in trouble for it. So she's freaking out. You can tell it's really hurting her. So then there was an interesting conversation between Bella and Jack in the storage room. It's interesting because these two, there's been a lot of tension between them over this first week or two or whatever you want to call it. They've both accused each other of, like, making all these outside alliances and, like, being sketchy and blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, I think this was a case of everyone trying to cover their asses before a new HOH is crowned. Because if somebody within their group of 8 is HOH, they want to make sure they're still going to be safe. So Jack is like, oh, you and Nick are doing a great job of being on both sides. And he wasn't saying it in like a snarky way. He was like, oh, yeah, good job. You're killing it. So then Bella is telling him some stuff about Jessica, Kemi, and Nicole. She was basically just saying that there's a lot of distrust amongst that group. And, you know, they don't all feel like 100% with each other. I think she was saying something like, they don't trust Nicole because they think that she's with Jack and that group, which is not true. But she did not drop the Black Widows alliance to Jack. She only told Nick about that, and then Nick told Sam. But anyway, they agree that they want to keep things going with Grateful for now. So then Jack is asking her about how she's doing with Nick because he saw that they had like a little quarrel the other day, and she's like, it's not a game thing. Earlier I opened up to him about something from my personal life, and he's been helping me through it whenever I like start thinking about it. So she says like she loves Nick as a person, not like loves but she doesn't trust him 100%. She says it's not like a game thing. All right, Bella's being very crafty here about what she shares with Jack. And it's hard to tell where she really stands, because I feel like at this point she really is just playing the middle. She I feel like spills everything to everyone. It's kind of like this weird chaos game. I don't know. It's interesting to watch, but I don't know how long she's going to be able to keep this up. So she says that she doesn't give a crap when Kemi goes. They're close because they went to the same school, but she says that she's told Kemi to chill out, and she hasn't done that. So, I mean, if she's going to be like that, then she can just go. So then Bella basically starts telling Jack about himself. She's got some critiques for his gameplay thus far. So first of all, she's telling him, you need to tone it down a bit with all the Kemi stuff, because your name is always coming up with hers. You know, you're two of the big names that are floating around. So if a floater wins HOH and doesn't have any clear targets, they might just go ahead and put both of you guys up, because that's like the easy way out. So you should kind of rein it in a little bit. And then Bella says it's rubbing people the wrong way that Jack made an alliance with Ovi, and she's like, you never told me about it, so that makes me not trust you. Jack says, I appreciate the honesty, I really do. So Bella says that she's down to recommit to Grateful, but like, he's got to start telling her what the hell is going on here, because they need to have better communication if it's going to work. So Jack is explaining the fake Fam 5 alliance that he made with Ovi, Christy, who else was in there? Jackson, and then I think, how many are up to? Ovi, Jack, Jackson, Christy, and I believe Sis. So he's like, yeah, it wasn't real. We were just doing that because he was trying to call out the group of 8. So Bella's like, yeah, that's actually a really smart move. She high-fives him. You can do all this stuff, but we've got to tell each other about it. So then she's like, obviously Bella and I have, or sorry, she is Bella. Obviously I have a final 2 with Kemi, but it doesn't mean anything. This is what I mean. She's just throwing out all this information that she does not need to be throwing out. So then Bella is telling Jack, you need to earn my trust back. Woo! And she basically tells him, you can do that by winning HOH and not putting me up on the block. So during this conversation, Jack is listening very intently. It seems like he is genuinely interested in what she has to say, and he wasn't like being snarky or anything in his responses, and it didn't seem like he was upset with what she was saying about his game. I'm just really curious to hear his thoughts on all of this. It seems like he was taking some of it to heart, which I was not expecting. But anyway, moving on. Maybe I just totally misread it and he's pissed. Who knows? Tommy and Christy were having a game chat in the HOH room. Tommy's like, so I had a talk with Jack. And Christy is convinced that Jack is pissed at her for not following through and nominating Kemi this week. So she feels like she can't trust Jack. She's worried that he's going to put her up if he wins HOH next week. And Tommy's like, I think we're going to be okay. I don't think Jack is going to put either of us up anytime soon. He says he wants to keep working with Jack because people don't like him. So he's like a shield in front of them, and then if they all make it to the end, they're going to be able to beat him. But Christy's like, yeah, she's worried about Sis and Jack showmancing. And Tommy says, let them. You know, that's great for us, because if our secret comes out by accident, it's going to be good if there are other, like, duos running around so that there'll be targets in front of us. Sometimes I forget that they knew each other before, because they're doing a really good job playing it off and, like, being secretive about it. So then Christy's saying, all right, we can work with Jack, but I wouldn't mind if someone else took him out. Like, I wouldn't stick my neck out for him. So then in other news, Tommy reveals Nick's secret, that he's a therapist in real life. Ooh, so Christy's like, good for him, or good for him. And then back to Jack. Tommy says, from what I've gathered, Jack has not been conspiring against you. You don't have to worry about that. So Christy says, okay, I guess I can pull back on my resentment and be okay with him again. So then they were just talking about how lucky they are to be in the house together and how comforting it is to have somebody that you know you can trust no matter what. That really is such a huge advantage. It's crazy. So then Ovi is continuing to work his way through the house. He's talking to Cliff, and he's saying he's got the votes. I And Cliff, you could tell he wants to tell Ovi, just like Nicole, it's really breaking him up inside. He wants to let Ovi know what's really going on. So he's trying to drop some hints here. He's like, it wouldn't surprise me if they're telling you and Kat the same thing. Because Kat is being way too calm right now. If she thought that she was in danger, she'd be freaking out. And that's a really good point. So then Ovi goes up to the HOH room. And Christy's in there with Nicole, Tommy, and Jack. So Christy's telling Ovi, I want you to stay optimistic, but be prepared either way, because people are starting to think, oh, maybe it would be good for my game to keep Kat. So Ovi's like, all right, well, if you guys would let people know that you want me there, maybe the rest of the house will follow. They're waiting for somebody or like a few strong people to tell them what should happen this week. So you guys are those people. So during this conversation, it was mostly just Ovi and Christy talking. The others were just pretty much listening. So Christy basically advises Ovi to talk less, smile more. I think she was telling him, like, people are burnt out on all the campaigning right now. It's too much. Again, she's kind of hinting that, like, you might be going. And the more you push, the more people are gonna feel that you should go. But Ovi is leaving it all out on the dance floor. He was going into extreme campaign mode. He was dropping a lot of reasons why he should stay. He's like, I'll fight for you. I'll win competitions for you. Kat won't be able to win. I won't put any of you up. Do you know who Kat will put up? Because I don't. I'm pretty sure Kat would just put up whoever Jackson tells her to. But I was really wondering why no one seems to be asking Ovi who he would target. I'm guessing he would say Jess and Kemi or Bella, those three basically, because they're all about like girl power. He knows that, and they've pretty much made it known that they're not going to vote for him to stay. But I mean, he's been telling everybody else pretty much, I won't put you up, I'm going to fight for you, blah, 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 blah. So I mean, he's got to put somebody up. I'm assuming it would be them. So then he was saying, I need to stay longer to pay off my student debts. I need more time to represent my people on TV. And at this point, one of the cameras was on Nicole. It was like a close-up on Nicole, and she is just near tears. You can see the tears welling up in her eyes. It was so sad. So then Ovi is saying he would self-evict before he would nominate any of them for eviction, and he'd be a shield for all of them. And he says, Kat's just going to float to the end, and that's going to be one less spot for you guys to get there. Someone please just tell him. Please just tell him. Oh my God. So then after Ovi leaves, the others are all discussing his pitch, and they're like, you know what? He made some good points. They're going back and forth here, but in the end, they still are saying that Ovi should be the one to go, basically because Kat is a freaking mess. They feel like she doesn't know anything about the game, so they can just tell her what to do, and they're going to be able to use her as a pawn over and over again. All right, so then a little later, Nicole lets Ovi know that people seem to be leaning towards keeping Kat now. She's trying to tell him, like, look, man, it's not good. So he still is continuing to talk to people. He's not giving up, which I think is really admirable. But unfortunately, he's making a lot of mistakes. Number one, I don't think he really knows how to effectively campaign. And number two, I think he's campaigning to a lot of the wrong people. Tommy made a great point last night. He was talking to Cliff about the mistakes that Ovi was making. Ovi should really be going against Jack and trying to get the other people that are against Jack and being like, I'm going to target him if I stay. But instead, he's trying to get Jack's vote, and he's really clinging to him, and it's not working. So then, now that Ovi knows that it's not looking good, he attempts his Hail Mary shot. So he's talking to Jack and Jackson in the target bedroom, and he's like, all right, guys, I've got one more thing to tell you tonight. They promised to keep it a secret. Ovi reveals that he won the nightmare power. So he's explaining what it does. You know, he gets to save 2 people from the block, and then the HOH has to nominate 2 other people. And he says, if you keep me safe this week, and if you can bring in Holly and Sis, bring in their votes, that's going to be enough for me to stay. So, because he's figuring if he has those 4, he'll have Nicole, Cliff, and who was the last one? Nicole, Cliff, and Tommy. So he's like, if you guys go up on the block, I'll use the power to save you. That, you know, a deal's a deal. So he's saying you guys will be guaranteed safety for next week. So Jack and Jackson are like, whoa, that's huge. We need a minute to take all of this information in. So before Ovi leaves, Jack says, if you give Christy immunity, I might be able to convince her. We're probably going to have to bring her in on this. So then Ovi leaves to let them talk amongst themselves. And Jack is immediately like, we're still going to have to send him out. The group has already come to a decision. How are we going to flip this vote without telling them about the power? This could potentially break up Grateful. We're working so hard to keep the group together. This is going to blow it up. Jackson does not care. He knows about the power and he wants that power. So he's like, oh, it's naive to think that Grateful will make it to the end. Nick and Bella are going to turn on us the first chance that they get. So he's like, what if we just kind of like push Nick and Bella out of our group, don't tell them about this whole thing, and then we bring in Ovi, and that makes 7, and then we can also bring in Cliff, and that's 8 again. We're all set. So Jack is insisting we got to tell our alliance about this, minus Nick and Bella. They're already like writing them off, and they're going to see what their alliance thinks. So apparently they were like really stinking up their room with stress farts or something because Cliff walked in and his face almost melted off. Disgusting. All right, so then in other news, Kemi went missing for a while last night. Her microphone was on her bed, the diary room was calling for her, and nobody knew where she was. So everybody started to get really concerned. It turns out she was by herself in the hallway to the diary room because she wanted alone time. I think she had something bothering her from outside of the house, something that she was thinking about, so she needed to get away for a bit, but it would have been nice to let people know so they weren't freaking out. Oh my god. But anyway, then Jack and Jackson go to the boat lounge with Christy and Tommy, and they spill Ovi's power to them. They're like, we've received some news. So they said he shook both of our hands. He swore he'd use the power on us. Of course, they explain how it works and everything. And Christy's like, isn't that perfect? We're getting him out and the power is gone. All in one stroke. So Jackson's like, wait, what? He guaranteed that he's on our side and that he'll use the power for us. And Christy's like, well, I'm sorry. He didn't tell me that, and I'm the HOH, so I guess the buck stops with Christy. Damn. She's putting her foot down. She's like, that just tells me that he would never use it to save me. It really shows me who he's loyal to, and it's not me. So he's got to go. And you know what? She makes a really good point. But she says it would have been a lot different if he had told her. Oh, snap. Yeah, so, I mean, he told the wrong people about it. It's really sad. But there was a little bit more discussion about it. But eventually, Christy just lays down the law. She's like, no, he's got to go. So they decide that they're going to lie to Ovi and act like they're accepting the deal. And then they're still going to vote him out. And they're doing this not to be jerks, but because they want to make sure Ovi doesn't offer it to anyone else. All right. So then, after that, Jack and Jackson tell Ovi they only told Christy, which is a lie because they told Tommy too. But Jack says, Christy, I want Christy to take my place in the deal, so like you would be saving Christy or Jackson, not me. So Ovi's like, okay, if Christy goes up, I'll save her if that's what you want, sure. So today, Jack told Sis about Ovi's power. Jackson told Holly. They're not Nick and Bella. Damn, if they find out about that later, ooh, they're gonna be pissed. So Ovi is still leaving tonight. At this point, he trusted the wrong people. He told the wrong people about his power. It makes me sad that he was trying so hard to fit in with, like, the cool kids when he could have maybe potentially made something happen with Nicole and her crew. He was really focusing on the wrong group, and that was his downfall. But he seems to think he's staying because he thinks he's got this deal in place now. So my questions are, is Cliff going to tell Ovi that he's going? And will Ovi believe it? Because now he thinks he's got Jackson, Jack, Holly, and Sis. Now, how is he going to explain to Cliff why he thinks he has those votes? Like, it's going to be very interesting. And, of course, we're not going to see it because the feeds already went down for the rest of the time before the live show. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But tonight is the first live eviction a new twist. I don't know what's going to happen with David. And then a new HOH will be crowned. So let me know who you guys are rooting for the next HOH. And I'll see you tomorrow. So until then, much love.